blanket. What are we doing? Fuck.
Alright, welcome back to day 2 of... Alright. You got it?
Yes. Hello, I'm Michael Sullivan, and alongside Alec Greaney, welcome to day 2 of the Heights Sport Podcast, in day 2 of our trip to Dublin, Ireland. Quick rundown of our day in Dublin. It didn't rain, which is a great...
It was a nice sunny day.
Yeah, nice sunny day. We visited the Kilmainham jail, the site of many criminals and political prisoners.
Basically all of Irish history happened on one floor of the jail cell.
Yeah, 1916 Easter Rising. Really good. Check out a lot of the stories from those people. We also got to see a rugby match between Leinster and Benetton Treviso, a team from Italy. Wonderful team. And you can read all about our trip in Ireland and the rugby game later today on the Heights in Ireland tab right at the top of the bchights.com website.
You cannot miss it.
Absolutely not. But we're here to get down to business and talk about football.
Talking about football. American football.
It's been a long time coming. Boston College opens its season tomorrow against Georgia Tech at 7:30 a.m. at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. It's very exciting. We've been waiting for this game for almost a year. About a year and a half ago, this was announced by Brad Bates. And the hype's been great here in Dublin.
It's actually really cool. You walk around, you see the signs hanging up in stores, you see people wearing t-shirts. We went to the pep rally today. That was part of our day. Getting to see different hype-up song, getting to see the band, the cheerleaders. But it's finally time for football tomorrow. So we're going to give you a quick rundown of Georgia Tech, quick rundown of BC. Start with Georgia Tech?
Yeah, absolutely. Georgia Tech is a team in flux right now. Paul Johnson's squad. In 2014 was 11-3, went to the Orange Bowl. Was thought to be one of the big up and comers in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Last year plummeted to 3-9. They broke in 4 different new offensive linemen, plus all 3 of their running backs in the triple option that Georgia Tech ran in 2014, which was very successful. They averaged over 300 yards per game on the ground, then decreased to about 250 yards on the ground, and the 2A backs and the B back both. They all graduated. Justin Thomas, the very athletic quarterback, is still there. However, in 2014, he had over 1,000 yards rushing, plus he completed about 51% of his passes for a triple option quarterback. That's pretty good. In 2015, his rushing numbers were cut in half, mostly because of that new offensive line. His passing numbers incredibly declined from about 51 to 41.7 in 2015. So it was a rough year for the Yellow Jackets.
So coming back this year. Older running backs.
Slightly older. Sophomores mostly now. They were mostly freshmen.
Have a year under their belt.
Yeah, 1 year under their belt. But it's the defense for Georgia Tech that is going to be a real struggle. Georgia Tech doesn't return any of its 4 starting defensive backs from last year, and the Yellow Jackets were 120th last year in getting to the quarterback, and most of those starters return. So even though they have a year under their belt, they weren't particularly efficient last season.
So that's the Georgia Tech side. What are we looking at for Boston College?
Well, there's 3 main questions when it comes to the Eagles. We followed them a lot throughout the season and the off-season. They've had a lot of changes, especially 4 defensive starters left last year, but they've kind of sort of had new blood come in. On offense, it's a lot of younger guys, especially among the wide receivers. And in the offensive line ranks, of course, they have the new quarterback, Patrick Tolles, a transfer from Kentucky. But it's that offensive line that's the first key question. How can Steve Adazio make this unit really mesh? He's got a new right tackle, a transfer from Eastern Illinois, Jimmy Lowry, who had a really successful career at Eastern Illinois, playing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Very successful offense, but it was in spread, so he's got to adjust to that. Chris Lindstrom, Jim Cashman, John Baker, the guards in the center, were here last year, so they should know this offense and what Adazio is supposed to get at, as well as offensive coordinator Scott Loeffler, who Adazio has worked with before, so the offense really should be similar. It's that left tackle position that's going to be important, and I know that sounds cliched, but in particular on BC, they'll be switching between Aaron Montero and Sam Schmall, 2 players who don't have any starts under their belt previously, or many at all combined, so it's going to be a real question to see who Adazio goes with. It's either Schmall or Montero, and whoever really stands out in this first game, or even if it goes into the UMass game, that's the guy Adazio wants to go with. He doesn't want to be switching that left tackle position. Second question, who among those skill positions can really step up. The running backs, we know Jonathan Hilliman. Is coming back from a broken foot. He should be fine. He looked great through camp. Miles Willis and Tyler Rouse, two other running backs, and Davon Jones, who is a rookie. He was a redshirt freshman. He just moved from defensive back to running back. We'll see how he fits in.
And then something else that was kind of overshadowed by the quarterback carousel last year. We have the wide receivers, who, with maybe a steady quarterback, what do we have to see from them?
It should be pretty good. Charlie Callanan, this veteran leader, he's the only guy on the roster who has started in only 2 years. There's no senior starters on this wide receiving core. He's been looked at as more of a wide receiver, tight end sort of hybrid. So he's a guy you really want to look out for. I'd be on the lookout for two redshirt freshmen, Ben Glines and Nolan Borgerson. They were very talented all throughout camp. We should see a lot of them. And the converted quarterback, Jeff Smith, as well as Michael Walker, who made a big burst onto the scene last year as a kick returner. I think we've got a lot of guys who are really athletic and could make an impact there.
And then, of course, is the BC defense.
Yes, absolutely. This defense is supposed to be really good. They've returned a lot of guys. John Johnson, Truman Goodapple, Matt Milano, Connor Strahan, and Harold Landry are those big five. Any one of them could be first-team All-ACC. 9 out of the 11 starting positions returned. There's a lot of depth in the defensive backfield. The new linebacker on the strong side, on the weak side, whether that be Ty Schwab, Mike Strezak, Sharif Grice, all of them had a really good camp. If that second defensive tackle spot, that might be a problem, but if 10 out of 11 spots on the defensive line are an issue, it's really not an issue whatsoever. So this defense should be good. They just have to prove it to us tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Overall, should be a good look from this defense, though.
And so just pulling up the weather report right now, it is going to be raining all morning, tomorrow morning here in Dublin. At 1 o'clock, we have it dropping down to a 15% chance of rain. So for the 2 hours in the game's going on, might actually have a dry field. What difference does that make?
It's going to be a huge difference for Georgia Tech, mostly. That slippery field is not going to be great for a triple option team, especially one that goes off the A-back and off the pitches. It's actually probably stronger for a pro-style team like BC that, it obviously depends on the offensive line, but a pro-style team like BC should be able to run it up the gut and get the play-action pass when needed. The rain and the slipperiness, Georgia Tech already didn't have much of that in the passing game. Now they really won't be able to use it. I think that the option and the whole Georgia Tech offense will really struggle with the rain. If it dries up pretty well, I think BC's defense could be the challenge. Under Jim Reed, they're supposed to continue with the heavy blitzing scheme that Don Brown left off before he went to Michigan. But you don't really want to blitz as heavily as they do, as they usually do against a triple option team. You could end up missing some plays, and guys will be running off the field if you sell out too far and put too many men in the box.
So that's it. We're going to come to you tomorrow. Sully's going to have you from the booth. I'm going to have from the field. Michael J. Sully on Twitter.
Yep, that's the one. Or Height Sports, too.
Follow
Either
Height
one.
Sports.
Yeah, they both work.
So if you're deciding to wake up nice and early, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll have the coverage for you. Be sure to check out Story After the Game. We'll come to you with a third podcast.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
a full recap of Ireland coming to you probably around Sunday.
Yeah.
We'll see when the jet lag getting back wears off. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to that.
All right, take care. 17-13, Boston College win. That's my prediction.
I'm going to say, what did I have?
I believe you have
2013 loss?
You have 2013 Georgia Tech, I believe.
We'll see how it goes.